Well, this is James Terry from This is Lincoln interviewing Josh Cramer from the Watchful Citizen. How are you doing today?
I'm good, James, and I have to say that I'm actually a little bit nervous. I've never been interviewed on any TV show, so this will be my first ever where I'm being interviewed instead of me interviewing somebody.
Okay, but you have been interviewed on the radio.
I have, yes.
Oh, how was that?
It was okay, actually, for a few different reasons. You know, I used to work for a youth mentoring program called Teammates, and so when we would be recruiting mentors, when we would be asking businesses and community groups and faith-based groups to have people volunteer, oftentimes radio stations would have me come on and talk about mentoring and that kind of thing, and I was very much at ease talking about mentoring. There have been some other times that I was volunteering for different political activities where I was interviewed, and those are a little different because it's a little more contentious. But in either case, it felt very comfortable. Nobody could see me, and so if I did something stupid, they couldn't see it, and for some reason that made me a little bit more comfortable maybe than I feel right now.
Well, you know what? I want the citizens to know who Josh Cramer is. So let's go back to grade school.
Okay.
What grade school did you go to, and what was your favorite teacher?
Well, I can say that my favorite teacher was Mrs. Fike was her name, and the grade school was back in Hastings, Nebraska, called Alcott Elementary School. It's still there, and my little brother actually attended there after I did, and then my little sister started out attending there, and then she transferred to another elementary school. So the Cramer roots are deep in Hastings, Nebraska. My mom and dad still live there, but Alcott Elementary was my elementary school. Is a very good school, and you know, that teacher, Mrs. Fike, she was the first person who ever taught me that I could be something. And I know that that's kind of a cliche thing to say. I mean, for some people, they seem to just grow up knowing that they could be something. But, you know, I came from a working class family. My dad's a railroader. He's worked on the railroad for 33 years. My mom's been a secretary in a few different capacities. And so very working class. Nobody had ever gone to college. And this third grade teacher, Mrs. Fike, she put what was called a book letter. We had to read a book and then write a letter to somebody, you know, kind of explaining what the book was about. And I did that, and she put mine on the overhead and said, "This is an example of good work." And it was the first time, literally, that I felt as though I could do good work as a person. So I guess that's where I came from, Alcott Elementary School.
Middle school?
Middle school, I went to the Hastings Middle School, which is now, I believe they just finished up, the physical building just closed this year. They're opening a new middle school now. They passed a bond issue. But the old building that I went to was right in downtown Hastings. Hastings Junior High it was then, now it's the middle school. You know, middle school was a little bit of a different time for me. I don't remember like a whole lot about middle school. I mean, I played sports. I was into basketball and soccer, and I remember middle school basketball team. We were undefeated, 8-0. I remember we had T-shirts that said 8-0 and coming back for more. You know, as a seventh grader, I had a buzzed haircut because, you know, playing basketball back then in the 90s, we buzzed our hair quite a bit. And my favorite teacher in middle school probably was the basketball coach, a guy by the name of Mr. Mays. Greg Mays is his name, and he was also an English teacher. And he was just a nice guy, very intense. He made us work hard, and basketball and school kind of fused together, it seemed like, just because in middle school I was just doing it, you know, that is sort of on auto program, I guess.
Now you're in high school.
All right. So in high school, Hastings High School is where I went, same place that both my parents graduated from. And in high school, for the first couple of years, I still was involved in a lot of athletics. You know, I played basketball and soccer and a little bit of track. And then I had a friend who talked me into trying out for a play my freshman year. And so I thought, okay, I'll try that out. You know, I don't know if I can do this. And I got like the second lead for a male part. And it was another one of those sort of instances in my life where I really was affirmed for something, that somebody said, you can do this, you know. And so I really enjoyed doing theater. I also got involved in the speech and debate team, and my debate time in high school was actually very successful. Probably the thing that I did the best at was debate, and probably the single activity that I gleaned the most skills that I still use today. I turned 30 here in 2 weeks, and I can say to you that in my first 30 years, I've utilized the skills from the high school debate team more than anything else I learned in my high school career. So,
college days.
well, that brings me to Lincoln, Nebraska.
Lincoln.
I went to UNL, and I studied political science, and I thought I was going to go to law school. That was my initial plan. Coming from a working class family, you know, a lot of the reason, and being the first person to go to college in my family, there was a lot of pressure to make a lot of money. And so I thought, well, I'll be a lawyer. You know, this is what I'm going to do. But as I got involved in my political science studies, I quickly learned that I wanted to make a difference in the community. That being a lawyer, not that there aren't some lawyers that make a difference, there are some good lawyers out there, but I felt as though my skills would be better spent on the front end of societal issues. And so I finished my political science degree, and then I went and got a master's degree at Doane in education. And so now I work, my paid jobs in life are in education.